Well, we want to present a range, an initial starting range to the UK and European markets, which spans kind of a breadth of flavours. We've chosen to call them delicate, mild, strong and rich, and each of them have different floral characteristics. They're each 80% monofloral, which means we can guarantee that it's 80% grey ironbark or yellow box or whatever.
And the other 20%?
Is
just
mixed.
a blend?
Yeah, because you can't control where the bees go.
Sure.
So you can actually see when you look at the Australian bush from on top which trees are flowering, and so the hives are placed close to those. So obviously the bees goes to where it flowers, but obviously there's some other things as well that they bring back to the hives.
That gives you an idea of the weight of the flavour.
It does.
And is that due to the trees and the blossom that what they're collecting, or is that due to, is it contrived at all?
It's entirely raw. What happens? The hives come
I've
back.
got some side plates there as well.
The hives come back. The honey is extracted and put in a big settling tank. It's filtered only once to take out the bee legs and bits of wax, and then it goes into a jar. There's no heat treatment on it. So it's entirely down to the floral types of the trees, the flavour, and it's entirely down to beekeepers. We trace each batch back to an individual beekeeper who is, they have to go through quite a stringent bee qual, it's called, a quality control thing where there's no use of chemicals in the hive, antibiotics. So what they do is it's very big and commercial in nature. They keep the bees fit by working them hard. So they move them from place to place where the trees are flowering. They keep them going all the time. You've got to keep them a bit hungry, and therefore they're healthy bees. You don't need drugs in the hive to get rid of diseases. What interested me first of all when Paul showed me these was the colour range. So that's an entirely
this is why I said that, because they're very distinct, aren't they?
And it's quite representative. You can go as light as sort of a white wine colour, also down to the sort of colour of a pint of Guinness.
Yeah. And
everything in between. For the first one, the yellow box is Australia's kind of favourite monofloral, and that tastes like a typical honey. So these are Australian names. Some of them have Aboriginal names associated with them as well.
But they've all got eucalyptus.
It's Australia's eucalyptus continent.
Right.
People think it's a eucalyptus tree. It's going to taste something like you rub on your chest or something.
Menthol.
No, but as you'll see, there's no trace of that.
It's just the genus.
That's right.
Yeah.
So that's a yellow box.
So that's the more sort of normal taste of honey, the more common. It's still a very high quality, but it's the one you
got
like to.
Nice consistency.
Very.
But anyway, please have the next one. Grey ironbark. This one of we met with Neil Perry in Sydney at his Rockpool Bar and Grill, and he said he uses this one when he's grilling a steak. He just paints a bit on each side and does it quickly, and the honey caramelizes and gives a little thin, crisp crust rather than the meat. So it adds a certain extra thing to it.
Caramel.
Yes, it
So
would.
it's basically like a glaze.
A glaze for a steak.
We also found through tastings that it complements really well with cheese, that one.
I'm sure it does.
It's got quite a woody flavour.
Yes. Very.
And the other one's really quite floral, a little bit of citrus. That's
Somebody said a mouldy taste to it as well.
I suppose a wood barky kind of flavour, which would.
It's a very natural, nutty.
It is a nice flavour.
It's perfect with blue cheese or ghost cheese.
It's a little bit maple syrup. It's got that kind of maple aftertaste.
It's a bit sweeter than this one.
Yeah,
This one
that one's a little bit sharper.
Yes.
Mm. That's a relatively rare on grey iron bark. It, flowers once every 3 to 5 years, and there's not so many stands of it, so that's a little bit rarer.
Yeah.
The next one, apple tree. This is an interesting one as well. This is again, the beekeepers have quite a lot of this, but it's not a favourite in Australia. They prefer the yellow box at that end, but this is kind of the desserty one. So the apple reflects the taste of the honey. I think it tastes like baked apple.
Well, I guess you've got your generic sort of styles, haven't you? What you have as a table honey isn't necessarily what you're going to use for
That's right.
cooking.
Sticky.
Yeah. There's
Sticky
consistency.
toffee.
Sticky toffee
It's
apple.
got sticky toffee connotations.
Yeah. But then the texture and the consistency would be complementing the notes of what it would be used for. Let's go right on it. It's really quite dark, isn't it?
Good with rum.
That's interesting.
Rum and raisin ice cream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. We
Kind of
really
rum
need
and
to
raisin
test
ice cream.
the ice cream. We need to test to freeze it.
Yeah.
Imagine this with foie like a touchon or something.
It's good. That's really nice.
Mm.
It's got that, at first taste I thought, well, to be honest, there's not a great deal of difference in that first tone, the first sort of taste to that, and then it kind of, like you said, you get this muscovado, this real deep kind of dark sugar. Yeah,
No,
kind of real toffee flavour.
You describe it far better than we can. The last one, stringy bark. Now this is again quite an intense one, and a dessert type of thing. Tasting notes we've got is taste of almost of coffee, hints of coffee.
You can imagine that, though.
Can be used in coffee as well. The previous one could maybe use with foie gras ice cream. I don't know if you've ever done that.
We do frozen foie gras. We do an aerated frozen foie gras. So it's like a frozen aero type thing.
Amazing.
And a little bottle. Which is nice because it kind of just dissolves, evaporates in your mouth.
Yeah.
That's the sticky one. All of the other ones are more.
It's pretty spot on, actually. Very quite complex, that, isn't it? It's really complex.
Really floral note at the end. Just after the strongness is gone.
It's all of them are
Like
different.
someone's waving flowers
Yeah.
just in front of your nose.
So like I said, we've got these 4 kind of profiles: delicate, mild, strong, rich, and behind each one of them sits about 10 or 15 different monofloral types. So what we're aiming to do is offer this range, but the individual honeys behind each one will change according to the season and the year. So there's always something that tastes delicate, mild, rich, or strong.
Yeah,
It
okay.
might be
But you're not
yellow
saying,
gum, blue gum, red gum.
yeah, you're
right.
not putting an actual tree or flower onto the.
And we're also
Because-
not mixing them together to create a mild honey or a delicate honey. We're still offering the monoflorals, but in that kind of flavour range.
Yeah.